All their calls were met with voicemails, and eventually it just turned off. They actually went and looked at surveillance, and he was seen leaving through a side door of the hospital. We realized, okay, there's something going on here that we need to look into.
We're told that helicopter carrying Michael Jackson's body has left UCLA Medical Center, heading to the coroner's office.
After Michael's death, his body was taken to the Los Angeles County morgue.
The world was eager to know what really happened to the King of Pop. Many people thought that, if you read online, that Michael was murdered. Many people thought that he committed suicide. Many people thought maybe one of his handlers just did him in, because the fact of the matter is, Michael was deeply in debt when he died, to the tune of $470-odd million. And it turns out, unfortunately, Michael was worth much more dead than alive.
You've been quoted as saying you believe it may have been murder. Do you still think that?
Absolutely. We begin with the latest on the memorial for Michael Jackson. There are estimates that this morning hundreds of millions will be planning to watch Michael Jackson's memorial service on TV and online tomorrow.
When Michael Jackson died, the family set out to make a funeral for him. And very good sources of mine told me they contacted the LAPD and wanted all the streets in downtown LA closed off for Michael Jackson's cortege so they could have, a proper mourning period.
The world was in mourning, and we needed some kind of a service, a focus. But it was going to take weeks before the family would ever sort out where Michael would be interred, who would pay for it, how that would come about. And so AEG Live and some of the others, music companies and others, and friends of Michael Jackson came together and organized a memorial service for the public.
The ceremony itself cost $1 million.
This was July 7th at the Staples Center, and it was incredible.
When everybody congregated on stage, all the artists, to sing We Are the World, it really was a moving moment. People felt goosebumps. I was there, and I felt goosebumps. At this memorial, they brought the children on stage, and Paris gave one of the most moving speeches I have ever heard.
Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine.
After years of Michael Jackson covering his children's faces with masks or scarves when they went out in public, there they were at his memorial with no coverings. And it was sort of a jarring moment.
And we saw a blanket holding a doll, a Michael Jackson doll, in his hand as his father's coffin was right in front of him. It was the most touching thing you can imagine.
Naturally, no one felt worse about the death of Michael Jackson than his family. I mean, this was a family that had raised him, gotten famous with him, been through hard times with him, and now he's dead. But it was a bizarre set of circumstances.
It was kind of strange to see family members who, by all accounts, were estranged, in the end, having to come together at that funeral and talk about their brother with the children. And also, they ended up having to fight for justice for their brother and for the truth to come out about exactly what happened. For years, there were rumors initially about how Joe Jackson treated his children, especially Michael Jackson. That is probably the last person Michael Jackson wanted as his spokesperson, was his father, Joe Jackson. It just so happens a couple days after Michael Jackson died, the BET Awards were happening. And so we set ourselves up on the red carpet. And then all of a sudden, Joe Jackson walks up. And so he walks up, and I say, "How you doing, sir? How's the family holding up?"
I'm great. My family's doing pretty good.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
Do you want to tell the last couple of days? I know it's been really tough for you guys.
And
it was a slight pause when I go back and look at the tape, but in that moment, it seemed like forever.
We're working on that.
And then in the middle of the interview, I'm trying to get this heartfelt interview about Michael Jackson and the family. What about Janet and the rest of the family, their daughters and everything?
They're all doing fine. But I want to make this statement. This is a real good statement here. Marshall and I we own the record company called
Ranch Records. Right. Okay, distributed by Blu-ray Technology. And that's his next step.
And I was flabbergasted. He's hawking his DVD on Blu-ray, and I'm like, okay, your son just died a couple of days ago. It was the oddest experience that I had ever had on live television.
It was a continuation of a bizarre family dynamic between the superstar son and all the hanger-ons.
How do you think he died? You've been quoted as saying you believe it may have been murdered. Do you still think that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Absolutely.
Why are you so
I
sure?
would never, ever think differently. Because first of all, Michael told me that they were going to murder him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life. The people that were involved in his life, the people that were controlling him.
Without a doubt, Michael Jackson's worth more dead than alive. This has been proved with the escalation in the profits that his estate had made since his death. In fact, he's made more in the years since he died than the combined earnings of Jay-Z, Kanye West and Taylor Swift. Given those figures, it's natural to assume conspiracy theories. People might suspect that E.G. Live had a lot to gain from Michael Jackson dying.
They knew he wouldn't be healthy enough, yet they put their own doctor in, who said Michael, he passed with flying colors. He's in perfect health. Michael was not in perfect health. He was very, very fragile, very thin. And the coroners, I will tell you, this was not an OD. The coroners told me immediately that the only drug that was in Michael's body was the drug that was administered to him that night. And that was it. He was totally clean.
Do you think we'll ever find out the truth?
I'm going to make sure we do.
Michael's sister, LaToya.
Cara Finstrom is out there at the home. We're seeing motorcycles and activity outside the Michael Jackson home. Cara, tell our viewers what we're seeing.
We have just watched this group of police officers pull up, and I think they are actually securing off the area.
At that time, detectives from Aubrey Homicide responded to the Carrollwood address, along with the Department of Coroner and their field investigators.
We're just looking for any evidence of foul play or anything like that.
They were directed upstairs, and they noticed an IV on an IV stand, some medicine on the nightstand near the bed, and one bottle of propofol that was underneath the nightstand. That was the first time in this investigation where propofol had been observed. So our biggest goal was to talk to Dr. Murray.
He was lying low. Perhaps that was on the advice of his attorneys. The LAPD called him, texted him, no response. It was only a couple of days later, 2 or 3 days later, when on the advice of his attorney, Conrad Murray made contact with the LAPD and an interview was arranged.
Dr. Murray, Conrad Robert Murray.
And he talked, and he gave him information.
We understand that you had been spending some nights at the house? Not some nights. I spent every night. Oh, every night? With the exception of the nights I was off, which was on the Sunday. Was it for medical reasons? It was Mr. Jackson's request.
After the rehearsal on the 24th, when Michael Jackson got home, Dr. Murray was there waiting for him. Dr. Murray set up the saline IV and tried to get Jackson to go to sleep. He administered some sedatives, lorazepam and midazolam. And Jackson would only go to sleep for minutes and then wake up. And Jackson was very frustrated that he couldn't go to sleep.
At that time he said, I'd like to have some milk. Yep. He said, please give me some milk so that I can sleep because I am going to disadvantage really good for me. Hot milk for 4 hours. This is just a medicine. What is you're familiar with? What is the medicine called propofol?